Hey there, folks. Welcome to yesterday's news for September 17th, 2018. I'm going to start off talking about the incident in Texas of the police officer who went in the wrong apartment and shot the occupant, thinking he was an intruder in her apartment. So there have been a few further developments. Apparently there was a routine search warrant executed at the scene of the incident, and they found marijuana in the guy's apartment. Then the PR firm that the police officer hired thought it'd be a great idea to release this information and try to smear the guy. Like, I get this being a honest misunderstanding, and it's a horrible tragedy. It's like if she had just been like, "Oh my God, I'm sorry. I thought I was in my apartment. I went on. I got off at the wrong floor. The door was ajar. I thought I was in my apartment, and there was somebody I didn't know, and I thought he was an intruder. I'm so sorry." Just like left it there. Like, I could be like, okay, it's tragic, it's horrible, but I understand. I'm willing to, go the route of, negligence, the right charge legally would be negligent homicide. There's no evidence of, of nefarious intent, just, a tragic and fatal misunderstanding that arose out of gross negligence. But then she goes and does this and tries to smear the guy, and it's like, he was an innocent guy just hanging out in his home when you walked in and shot him. Like, why on earth would you think it's a good idea to try and damage his reputation? It's not like there wasn't a defense of this was a justified shooting. It was a defense of this was an accident. I thought I was somewhere else, So I lost all sympathy for that police officer whose name I do not remember, and I don't really care. I don't want to make her famous at this point. So I basically, after that, have lost all sympathy for her if she's gonna respond to this incident by trying to smear the poor guy who got shot in his own apartment. So I don't really have anything philosophical to say about that. I still think it's stupid and counterproductive to talk about race. The fact that they were different colors doesn't really play into this, but the fact that she would respond to this situation by trying to smear him just kind of damages her credibility in my mind severely. So other story is the allegations against Brett Kavanaugh. That is now does seem to be the perennial expectation that any political anything you can expect some allegations of sexual misconduct to pop up very late in the cycle of whatever. In this case, it is an appointment to the Supreme Court and appointment hearings and confirmation hearings rather than an election, but the same principle applies as an election. It's like I really want to be able to take these kinds of things seriously, but it's been such a pattern and a tactic that it's like I can't take it seriously. It's like, here's the thing. If you find yourself in this type of situation where you have been victimized by a high-profile person, you need to do certain things, like either come forward right away or wait until after the election or the confirmation or whatever, unless you are like, a member of their staff and, clearly part of their political party, because you're not going to be taken seriously if you show up at the 11th hour in the middle of a contentious political situation and start levying accusations against somebody. And it's, in this case, this is kind of the perennial issue with sexual crimes in general, is that it always boils down to he said, she said, and you can't win that in court. And either way, like either direction, no matter what the truth is or the outcome is, both people's lives are generally going to end up ruined, because the accuser's reputation is going to be dragged through the mud. The accused person's reputation is going to be dragged through the mud, and you're not going to be able to prove anything one way or the other. So there's a substantial group of people on either side who believes that the other person is terrible. And so these kind of things don't have good outcomes. And in this situation, it's, he said, she said from 30 years ago with drugs and alcohol involved. What's the point other than politics? And, you can't, if it's true, I don't know what the accusation is. I don't know how serious it actually is. I didn't dig that far into it. I pulled up a story which is linked below about the upcoming hearings. But from what I've heard so far, it's kind of like it was a gray area in the first place. It was 30 years ago, and both people were probably drunk. So, yeah, I don't know what you're going to do with that. Like, there's nothing to do with that. And it's awful, because if it's true, forget this situation. There's lots of situations where it's true, where it really was horrible. And, if you turn it into a political stunt, then like, where's the justice in that? You can't do it, because you just destroyed your own credibility by showing up in the middle of a political campaign. So yeah, I guess that's, the one main thing that I would have to say about that is, hey, if you find yourself in a situation like that, don't come forward in the middle of a political campaign, because you're going to lose all credibility. You can come forward after the fact, or you can come forward before they're running for office, and then you're still facing the same issues that you're always going to face with that type of thing, because it is very difficult to prove in court. But yeah, you're only damaging your own credibility when you mix it up with politics. So with that, I wish I had more interesting things to say about it, but I don't. And it's midnight, and I'm tired, and I will try again tomorrow. So I hope you enjoyed it, even though I'm a little fuzzy. And like, share, subscribe, etc. And I will see you tomorrow.